Hello, viewer. Welcome back to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben.
Just get my
that program
backing
where
ground
we
done, Philster.
talk randomly about music, and
About
obviously
stuff.
it's the 90s series. We're right at the end, the last year of our 90s album series. It is 1999.
I'll tell you one thing, it is absolutely lobbing it down outside.
We could all die any day. I don't want to die.
We could all die any day.
Do you want to dance your life away?
That could actually be the sound of a Bond film, couldn't it? Die any day. I like that. I like that.
I think they've already done that, haven't they? Oh, more or less.
Die another day.
It was Die Another Day.
Yeah, yeah. So how have you been getting on with your 1999 and 9 listening?
1999 is a weird one for me because it's a year that, when I look at the albums that came out in 99, I don't think there's any of the artists that were my big personal favourites. I don't think very many of them at all did an album in 1999.
No.
People, so it, in a way, kind of forces me away from that and makes me look at some of these other artists, which is a good thing.
Which is what this is all about, Philster.
Now, I've still got this one. I thought I'd show you this. I've still got this one in its original case from 99.
Is it a CD?
It's a CD. You remember me owning this one. There's the back.
Flaming Lips, Soft Bulletin.
It is.
Because you know how I know that?
Yeah.
Because I've been listening to it this morning.
Now, there we go. You can see I've still got the sticker on there. The most astonishing album of the year, said NME. Unlike anything ever, said Uncut. And what was that? The Times said one of the finest. What does that say?
One of their fans
on the planet.
I
was reading that through the Mirror backwards, so I only tripped up on the word bands. That totally threw me.
I mean, bear in mind that bands are the main thing that we talk about on here, I suppose. So
yeah,
but I think it's a. I think it was about the ninth. Is it Wayne Coyne? Is that his name? Wayne Coyne.
That's him.
Yeah, I do love. I had that album on this morning before we started recording. I had the Soft Bulletin on, and maybe because I knew we were doing this show, I actually found a whole new love for it while I was washing up.
Do you have a particular favourite track on this?
I mean, I've always said Race for the Prize. I forgot that it's the opening track. What a great opening track with that orchestral sort of big band sound that comes in. I do like Waiting for a Superman. I think that's a good track. But it is, I think we said before, a very dreamy album. It is a very... Oh, I'm just knocking everything here. I love the album cover. You got me into this album, so you're to blame. But it is... The album cover is almost like a poster for a film score.
Yeah,
but
there's something kind of 60s about it, but it's not like a 60s album. It's sort of, I know what you mean.
It could almost be that could be a movie poster, but I just think it's a really great album. I think the second track, is it A Spoonful Weighs a Ton, is a really good song.
Yeah,
but I would say from 1999. That is, I know all albums are individual. Every album has its own individual sound, even if it sounds like something else. The sound it's making is still individual. But it sounds like nothing else from that sort of time. If you put that on, you wouldn't be able to say that's from 1999, is what I'm trying to say. It's got a very authentic, original sound to it.
It's got their own style. It's a timeless album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another one that doesn't sound in any way really like it's from 1999, I would say. I don't think he can easily be pigeonholed. This is an American solo artist. One of the big boys.
What? Big as in poor diet, or?
As in, when it comes to singer-songwriters, he's up there with, Well, people would put him up there with, the Neil Young and the Bruce Springsteens and the Leonard Cohens and the Bob Dylans. He could be mentioned. Van Morrison. He could be mentioned along with those guys.
Basement Jacks. Is it not Basement Jacks? Is that Johnny Cash?
It's not Johnny Cash, although that does look very Johnny Cash-ish,
Is it
doesn't
Tom
it?
Waits?
It is Tom Waits. It's
Mule Variations.
Yeah.
Now, I should get that album for my brother because my brother, as you well know, his name is Samuel, and we call him Mule because everybody called him Sam, so the last three letters of his name weren't being used. So maybe that's an album I should buy for him. Mule
Maybe you should.
Variations.
I don't know whether it's his kind of thing, but one way you could describe this, I really like this record. There's some quite raucous stuff on it, and there's also some ballads on it.
Do love a ballad.
It's, I guess, I think the album that preceded this, Bone Machine, was one that sort of led the way for this.
That's a great album title. That sounds like something like Anthrax or Megadeth would release, isn't it? It's not.
And it kind of I think it sums up. I'm not an expert on Tom Waits, but it kind of sums up, I think, the sort of latter period that he had. All this it sort of set the tone. This and Bone Machine set the tone for some of the albums he made later into the 2000s. I thought Alice and Blood Money. But yeah, I mean, it's got some great songs on it. And there's some moments of it that only Tom Waits could come up with. It's just it's kind of a bit crazy in parts. You kind of got to hear it to believe it, but it sounds to me like it was made in a rundown shack in the middle of nowhere. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And he's got a piano in the rundown shack as well. As
I'll have to give it a listen. I've never
There's elements of, if you like things like some of Beck's stuff, like Loser and that stuff that sounds like he's in a shack with some old instruments, and if you like things like Seasick Steve, then
yes, I do like a bit of Seasick Steve.
Then you might like this, because there's some similarities in there in terms of the sound and feel and sort of bluesy songs and things like that. So you might dig it. You might want to put some Tom Waits on.
I might give that a listen then. I might give that a going in the car. Is it a car album? Can I put it on and?
I suppose you could have it on in the car. It's not one that I think of having on in a car. I think, to me, it tend to be more ones to sort of sit down and listen to. But if you've got a bus, then stick it on in the bus. Yeah.
How about a plane? Or submarine? Is it submarine music?
I suppose it could be.
Do you know what? Actually, that's a good idea, actually, Phil. We should maybe start our own dance genre. Because you've had house, you've had garage. Maybe no one's ever thought about, like, just giving it heavy. So it's just all bass. It's just doom, 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 doom. Because it's so low down, we can call it submarine music. Because it's, deep. Doom, doom, doom. And that's what it does, the whole doom, 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 doom.
And I think that's already been invented, hasn't it? I've certainly heard something like that coming out of cars that have driven past on the high street. So I'm fairly sure we're not original with that one.
Do you reckon that people? I used to work with a guy, and he would turn up in his truck with the music blaring, and I guarantee that he only turned the volume up when he was coming into the building. Before that, he was not listening to it that loud. It's almost like a statement of intent. I am here. You will look at me.
Here's a question. What's the best song you've ever heard blasting out of the car of someone that you didn't know? What's a car or van or whatever? What's the song that you can think of that you liked?
What sounded really good?
Yeah, because usually when I hear music blasting out of someone's car, I usually think it's rubbish. It's very rare that I think, oh, that's a good tune. That's a good. I like that artist. It's usually I think, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I did
So
it. I
because usually
did
it is a
go.
thumping. It usually is a thumping noise or very deep.
Yeah, yeah. I did
But
walk past someone's car who had Fool's Gold blaring out on Stone Roses. That was pretty
that's cool.
decent.
That's cool.
I can live
Now
with that one.
I think I got two memories of this. I've got two because they're real oldies that take me back. I remember once sitting outside a pub and a car went past and they were playing I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash,
Oh yeah, yeah. I like that.
which is unusual to hear blasting out of a car.
Yeah.
That was cool. And another one, when I was running, I once had to stop to tie my lace up and I was near some traffic lights and the car at the traffic lights was blasting out The Girl of My Best Friend by Elvis Presley,
Ooh,
which I thought was kind of not what I normally hear blasting out of a car, which I
no,
quite
no.
like. Another golden oldie, but
I do
I can't.
remember. I was going to say, I do remember back in the day, my mate Sheps turning up to my house or my dad's house, as it still is, with the Robbie Williams Live Through a Lens album on. And I remember thinking, that actually sounds really decent with some bass behind it.
Yeah,
But yeah, apart from Fool's Gold, I'm like you, Phil. So there's mainly if you're having to play. I mean, I do have it loud sometimes, but that's only because the song dictates that it needs to have that sort of level of. The other day, I was driving with my lad in the car, and I think we discussed on here about back in late 90s. You know, we had one of those AWA. Is it AWA? CD players with the 3 discs on the top and
oh yeah,
mega bass, because bass isn't enough. You need to mega that bass up. And I remember putting on, I had the single for Deeper Underground by Jamiroquai from the Godzilla soundtrack. And, you know, it got these big old speakers because those AWA setups, they were pretty decent because they weren't that expensive, but they were basically, yeah, build quality wasn't brilliant. But anyway, the bass from that song opened my dad's loft hatch.
I think we've been told this fact before. I think I
Yeah,
remember that one now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so I had that song in the car.
How far open did the loft hatch go?
Well, no, what the loft hatch was on like a clip. So you
Oh
pushed it
right.
with a pole and it would open. So it almost did enough to bounce it off the clip. Such is the power of the bass filter. You know, maybe instead of investing all this money in weapons, they should just turn up with a massive bass. Just get 50, 20-year-olds in their car playing God knows what awfulness out of it. Turn the bass right up. War's finished. Don't need guns. No bullets were fired. How did you win this war? I won it with the bass. Just bassed it up. Just get a load of bass players there. Dum, 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 dum. All I'm saying is the UN, if you're watching, ideas right here. You know, so there we go, yeah.
Have any other albums of 1999 blown your mind?
They're the only one I've listened to this week. I've had a busy week. I haven't even listened to anything on the turntable. I listened to one half of the Editor's album, which I just covered up because it was up in a previous video. I listened to Performance and Cocktails by the Stereophonics.
That's 99 as well, is it?
That
Yeah.
was 99. That was 99. And I've just brought it up on Wikipedia because I didn't realise that the album cover, the model on the front cover of it, she says that because they tried to track her down, the British journalist Tony Burrell did some extensive research in 2007 to find her. Because I'll show you the album cover. It's quite a good. She's got quite a sort of. I don't know if that's clear enough, but she's got quite a sort of gone out look in her eyes. And it was actually it was taken in autumn 1998 at a football pitch under the Westway in London. And the image was inspired by Annie Leibovitz, And anyway, they tracked down the woman in the photo. She was a model. She was 27, Lucy Joplin, and she explained that the faraway look in her eyes was a result of an evening consuming absinthe and opium, and that she was only paid £75 for that shoot, for that album cover. 75 quid. That's not a lot, is it? Well, it probably was back then. You probably had a house and a car for £75 back in 1999. But yeah, I listened to this album. I have come to the conclusion it's not as good as the first album, but I think, well, with all these things, I think the critics are always a bit sniffy about the Stereophonics. I think it's a pretty decent album. To be fair, I can't think of another album that I listened to more in this year than probably this album. So yeah, it's got like the bartender and the thief. Do you remember that one? The bartender and the thief are lovers, still what they need like sisters. It's got that hurry up and wait, pick a part that's new, just looking. I learned that on the bass. But yeah, I think it's a really good album, and I know people get a bit sniffy about them, but it's another one of those albums that didn't. When I put it on, it didn't sound like it was from 1999. It could be. I mean, I know we're lacking in indie guitar music at the moment, but it sounded fresh for an album from 1999. So, which is what, 25 years? Yeah, 25 years ago. So if you go back 25 years from there, that would have been 1974. If you listen to an album from 1974 in 1999, you would have I would have felt like I knew I was listening to an album from 1974. So yeah, I've had a pretty weak Filster on 99 listening. I am going to ramp it up this week, but it is a good album, and you should listen to it. I know you've had your doubts over the Stereophonics because I can't remember what your words were on Kelly Jones, that he doesn't really do it for you, does he?
He's kind of got. I actually saw them live at the Isle of Wight, but I didn't really know very many of the songs, to be honest. They kind of passed me by, even though they were played a bit on the radio. Obviously, I've heard one or two, but if I have to think of Stereophonics, I always think of the poppy one that always gets played in adverts and things. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, yeah.
And obviously, and the handbags and glad rags cover.
I don't know what it is about that song.
Which I think he sings, which I think he does well.
I just don't like the song. I don't know why. It's like fingers down a chalkboard.
Is it one of those songs that's a little bit like a sort of kitchen sink drama set on a terraced street? It's kind of like it's almost like a song version of a Ken Loach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got that sort of very. I don't know. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying?
Well, when I say I hate that song, I hate. If somebody said I'm going to put on the handbags and the glad rags, I'd be like, no, you're not. But when it's on, I don't mind it when it's on. It's the thought of it that, it's like a kick in the old gentleman luggage.
I do know what you mean.
The thought of it is. Actually, that's a wrong analogy because both of those things hurt.
I must admit, I know what you mean about not liking that song, and I get what you mean, but you can't quite say why you don't like it. Is it just something slightly depressing about it? I don't know.
I don't know. But it's just.
I did hear it once on the radio. I remember once hearing the Stereophonics version on the radio and thinking, do you know what? I actually had to respect it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
But I haven't really delved much more into some of their other songs. I know there was the one, was it Mr. Writer, where he goes on about the music journalist.
Which is about
Pick a Part That's press. New, of course, is another one, isn't it, that's been played.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think what were the other best known songs.
Dakota.
I don't know that from memory. Maybe if I heard it, I'd know it.
It was really big in 2005. Madam Helga. Mad Melgers Foley.
I don't
That's
think I
where I
know
spent
that.
last night. Dum dum dum
He's
dum
one of
dum.
these. I don't know what it is about Rob Thomas or the band.
Kelly Jones.
Kelly Jones, I mean, not Rob Thomas. The ingredients are all there, but they've never had that little spark of extra thing that's grabbed me for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
But maybe I should give them more of a chance and have a listen to a bit more of it, because maybe there are some songs in there that I might like. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean
don't want to,
Dakota was massive. I think it went to number one.
but I do feel that they are kind of like, for me, a British version of the Foo Fighters, in that
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah,
I can't object to anything particularly about them being bad, and there's obviously talent there, and there's nothing wrong with the vocalist or anything, and I
yeah.
don't dislike the vocalist.
A bit like me with Muse.
Yeah, like with Dave, I've said this before, haven't I? With Dave Grohl, I kind of like Dave Grohl as a rock star. He seems as a guy, he seems fine. I don't have anything against him for any, I don't have any reason to not want to like him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I did dig Nirvana. I did think Nirvana were truly great. But I think it just feels to me like it's rock music that's done well, but it doesn't have
By
a
numbers.
thing that grabs me. It feels a bit like that to me. But maybe
Yeah,
I'm being
yeah.
unfair on the bands, because maybe I should listen more into the albums. It's just that the stuff that gets played everywhere, to me, does have a bit of a by numbers feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I get that. I get that completely. To be fair, but you must remember Dakota, because that was that one where you made me feel like the one, feel like the
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah. Okay. I think
Drinking
if I hear
bad,
that,
drinking for two. That one. You made
yes,
me
yes,
feel
yes,
like the one.
yes. Of course,
Make
yes, I
me
do know
feel.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I know what you mean. It is sort of like, yeah, rock by numbers, isn't it? Almost. No, if you're going to listen to Stereophonics, that first batch of albums, because I have got a whole new love for the Jeep album, which I kind of fell out of love with for a little while. But to be fair, as a body of work, the first five albums are quite, after that, I sort of lost a little bit of, I think, Pull the Pin. I never kind of, from about 2007, I just gave up after that, to be fair. But yeah, no, worth a listen, dude. Like I say, it is rock by numbers, isn't it? It's not going to it's not going to change the musical landscape. But it's well worth a listen. Well, you might have to listen to it anyway, because if I pull it into the mix, and then we're gonna have like 60 odd albums. Well, we won't have to listen to them all, because some of them will naturally know are better than the one it's up against. But we're gonna have to. We've got some albums to listen to in such a short space of time. Oh, dearie me indeed. But yeah, that's all I've listened to, Phil. So this week I will catch up. I will listen to some more of that. Because what was that album? The black and white album cover. I said on the last show that I'd never heard of before, and I said I should really listen to it.
An album of 1999.
Yeah, it's
That's
got like an
Mercury. Is
A.
that
It's got
is
like
it,
it's a double album or something.
oh, is this the Magnetic Fields,
That's it,
the
Magnetic Field.
69 love songs?
I need to listen to that. I'll put 2 days aside to
You
listen
could
to it.
need 2 days aside to listen to that.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at with 99 at the moment.
There we are. So, viewer, have we missed anything from 1999? I've just
Basement
discovered that.
Jacks.
Well, I've just discovered that we had a discussion show on 1998 that we didn't actually release. So I'm going to release that.
Release it into the wild, Phil. So you've kept it caged up for so long. Open the doors, let it free, let it go wandering around, infecting people's ears and minds with all the knowledge from 1998 they didn't know they had.
Until the next one, viewer, thanks for watching us. We will be back. And in the meantime, keep it cool. All the best.